Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Jaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye. नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकय चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपकदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभो नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna, reading from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. By His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. We are reading from Canto 3, Chapter 31, The Movement of the Living Entities. So today is a very, very auspicious day. Today is appearance day of His Divine Grace, Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So everywhere in the ISKCON temples today, we are fasting till 12 o'clock today. And the yesterday's feast, that is Janmashtami feast, is generally served today afternoon at every ISKCON temple. So we keep on fasting. Yesterday we fasted till 12 o'clock in the night. It was like a stricter fast, and then we broke the fast by. It did not break the fast in a way because we took something Ekadashi Prasadam. And the fast continues today for the appearance day of Srila Prabhupada. And at 12 o'clock today, we will break the fast with big feast in all the ISKCON temples nearby. So, Srila Prabhupada's contribution to the world and in our lives is phenomenal, right? And one of the major contribution of Srila Prabhupada is the books that he has written. 84 titles of the books that Srila Prabhupada wrote, proving the authenticity of devotional service. Apart from opening 108 temples, initiating more than 7,000 disciples, traveling the world for within 12 years, almost 14 times traveled the world, encouraging all the devotees to practice Krishna consciousness, and thus he made ISKCON and Hare Krishna really, a household name across the globe. So today we pray at the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada that our initiative, that is Sport, Srila Prabhupada Online Reading Terminus, remain very pleasing to him. We remain very, very loyal to the central message of Srila Prabhupada. And we continue this without any, the ahetuki apratihata. This is what our motto is of the devotional service. And similarly, that is the motto of our sport reading circle. Right. So today there will be offering of tributes to Srila Prabhupada. So that program will start almost at 9 o'clock, 9:30 everywhere across ISKCON temples. And what we are doing every day is actually offering the greatest tribute to Srila Prabhupada, one of the greatest. And that is reading, the devotional ecstasies of Srila Prabhupada, that is Prabhupada's books, and especially Bhagavad Gita and Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam and Chaitanya Charitamrita. The books that, Srila Prabhupada called, these are my devotional ecstasies. So one of the concerns Srila Prabhupada always had for the devotees was that they do a lot of seva, but do not read my books, Prabhupada used to say. And, this entire initiative of sports is so that we systematically read Srila Prabhupada books every day, come what may. We break only for 7 days, 7-8 days during in a year. That is the Diwali time when all the devotees, most of the devotees are on yatra and everything like that. Otherwise, we hardly take any break. And this would be very pleasing to Srila Prabhupada. When we read purports of Srila Prabhupada, one should always feel like sitting at the lotus feet of a grandfather and hearing from grandfather. So sometimes we will be encouraged in the purport, sometimes we'll be cautioned in the purport, sometimes we will be warned in the purports. So all those we should take in this mood of the happy, a very very concerned grandfather, and he's spelling his advice in through his purports. So when we read Srila Prabhupada's purports every day, it is, we are actually in the association of Srila Prabhupada. Directly, we are taking association of Srila Prabhupada. Today, we were supposed to be joined with His Grace Kanai Krishna Prabhu, but because yesterday was a very hectic day and he has lectures almost till night, long time, because he was giving some lectures to devotees who are in other time zones across the globe. So he just called that he will join on some other day, a couple of days later, Wednesday, Thursday, somewhere like that. So we will be having that fortune to wait for some time, couple more days. Right. So now we are back to text 38. बलं मे पश्य मायाया स्त्रीमय्या जैनो दिशां या करोति पदाक्रान्तान् भ्रुविसृम्भेन केवलम्. Translation?
Just try to understand the mighty strength of my Maya in the shape of woman, who, by the mere movement of her eyebrows, can keep even the greatest conquerors of the world under her grip. Purport: there are many instances in the history of the world of a great conquerors being captivated by the charms of a Cleopatra. One has to study the captivating potency of women and man's attraction for that potency. From what source was this generated? According to Vedanta Sutra, we can understand that everything is generated from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. It is enunciated there, Janmadi Asya Yataha. This means that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or the Supreme Person, Brahman, the Absolute Truth, is the source from whom everything emanates. The captivating power of woman and man's susceptibility to such attractions must also exist in the Supreme Personality of Godhead in the spiritual world and must be represented in the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. The Lord is the Supreme Person, the Supreme Male. As a common male wants to be attracted by a female, that propensity similarly exists in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He also wants to be attracted by the beautiful features of a woman. Now, the question is, if he wants to be captivated by such womanly attraction, would he be attracted by any material woman? It is not possible. Even persons who are in this material existence can give up womanly attraction if they are attracted by the Supreme Brahman. Such was the case of Haridas Thakur. A beautiful prostitute tried to attract him in the dead of night. But since he was situated in devotional service, in transcendental love of Godhead, Haridas Thakur was not captivated. Rather, he turned the prostitute into a great devotee of his transcendental association. Therefore, this material attraction certainly cannot attract the Supreme Lord. When he wants to be attracted by a woman, he has to create such a woman from his own energy. That woman is Radharani. It is explained by the Goswamis that Radharani is the manifestation of the pleasure potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When the Supreme Lord wants to drive transcendental pleasure, he has to create a woman from his internal potency. Thus, the tendency to be attracted by womanly beauty is natural because it exists in the spiritual world. In the material world, it is reflected pervertedly, and therefore, there are so many. What is that? I'm sorry, I'm reading from the mobile. What is the last word I'm not able to see? There are so many
varieties.
Yeah, sorry. Okay, thank you. It was not visible on my screen. Sorry, Prabhu.
Yeah, so we'll read in section. So now here Lord Kapila Muni says, Balam me pasya māyāyām, Śrīmaya jaino disham, ya karoti padakrantan, bhruvijrumbhena kevalam. Just try to understand the mighty strength of my Maya. Me Maya, my Maya, Lord says here, Balam me pasya māyāyām, in the shape of a woman who by the mere movement of her eyebrows can keep even the greatest conquerors of the world under her grip. Right. Again, because the verse is spoken with the context of, the sages of Naimisharanya. So this is for, we have seen in the yesterday's discussion. This is for the men, a woman for a man, and similarly, it is the man for the woman. And you can say something like the slight movement of the eyebrows. Here you can say the masculine movement of the some biceps or triceps, something like that, and he can keep under his grip. Okay, it can be just translated, but generally it is being directed towards the men because that is the general tendency. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes very beautiful aspect of the whole thing. Srila Prabhupada writes that there are many instances in the history of the world that the great conquerors being captivated by the charms of the woman, right? Great conquerors. We have seen already personalities like Vishwamitra, and there is then there is a Menaka, and then Urvashi, so on and so forth. They are being captivated. And then there is, in one of the purports, Srila Prabhupada writes about even, the Peshwa Bajira also. And this comes in Bhagavatam purport. One of the Bhagavatam purport, Prabhupada says, such a great warrior he was. So, and from where this tendency to be captivated is coming from. So Srila Prabhupada writes here that everything exists in the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Janmadi yasya yatah. And everything originates from the Supreme Lord. So the captivating power of a woman and the man's susceptibility to such attraction also exist in the Supreme. And if it exists in the Supreme, it must also be exhibited in his pastimes. Right? So how beautifully Srila Prabhupada is, giving this particular aspect of this particular verse. So Lord is the Supreme Person. He is the Param Purusha, right? Ishvara, Param Purusha. He is the Adi Purush. He is the Supreme Male. And just like there is a common tendency of a male to be attracted by a female, similarly, the Supreme Lord is also attracted by the Supreme Female, right? Supreme Person. So Prabhupada writes here that the Supreme Lord will not get attracted to any materialistic woman, right? Or materialistic Prakriti. Why? Because even the devotees of the Lord are able to give up such association. And for example, there is example of Haridas Thakur. That Haridas Thakur was somebody sent to Haridas Thakur to make him fall down from his exalted position, and he sent a very beautiful prostitute of that time, and she was trying to elude Haridas Thakur by various feminine gestures, and she proposed to Haridas saying that why don't we unite? And Haridas Thakur said, yes, we will. Let me complete my chanting of the Mahamantra, my prescribed number of rounds, that is my sadhana. And we know Haridas Thakur's sadhana. He used to chant 192 rounds every day, 3 times 64, right? 3 lakh names of the Supreme Lord every day. And this went on. The sadhana never finished. And when it was dawn, the lady left. And the next day again she came. And this happened for 3 days. And after 3 days, she became, by the powerful association of Haridas Thakur, hearing the chanting of Haridas Thakur, she became pure devotee of the Lord. In fact, Chaitanya Charitamrita describes she became one of the greatest of the devotees of her time, became a bada mahant used to come and fall at her feet to take her association. She gave up her very degraded profession, distributed all the wealth that she has generated from that profession, shaved up her head, wearing the white sari and everything. She just established her ashram, and she went on to become a very great, Vaishnava Acharya in the line of Gaudiya Sampradaya. So Srila Prabhupada says if the devotee of the Lord can give up such association, will Lord be attracted by such level of uh, material feminism? No. Then when the Lord wants to be attracted by a woman, he will create a woman from his own internal potency. And that is called as Ladhini Shakti. Srila Prabhupada says that woman is Radharani. Radharani is the manifestation of pleasure potency of the Supreme Lord. And thus, the Supreme Lord, Krishna, gets attracted towards Srimati Radharani. And thus here it is. Thus the tendency to be attracted by a womanly beauty is natural because it exists in the spiritual world. Of course, whatever exists in the top in the spiritual world, what happens is that, material world is perverted reflection. What is the meaning of perverted reflection? Perverted reflection means what is at the top in the spiritual world will appear at the most bottom in the material world. This is how Bhagavad Gita says, Urdhva Moolam, Adashakam, Ashwatham Prahurabhyayam. Just like on the banks of a tree, the banks of a river, there is a tree, and on the top of the tree, there is fruit. So, when you see the reflection of the tree in the river, the illusory tree will also appear upside down, and the topmost fruit will appear as the bottommost in the reflection. Similarly, the topmost pastimes of the Supreme Lord, the Parakiya Bhav in the spiritual world, they will appear as the most degraded thing in the material world in terms of extramarital affairs. Right, but this is actually the topmost in the spiritual world. And therefore, Prabhupada says, in the material world, it is reflected pervertedly, and therefore, there are so many inebrities. Yeah, please continue.
Instead of being attracted by material beauty, if one is accustomed to being attracted by the beauty of Radharani and Krishna, then the statement of Bhagavad Gita, Param Drishtva Nivartate, holds true. When one is attracted by the transcendental beauty of Radha and Krishna, he is no longer attracted by material feminine beauty. That is the special significance of Radha Krishna worship. That is testified to by Yamunacharya. He says, since I have become attracted by the beauty of Radha and Krishna, when there is attraction for a woman or a memory of sensual life with a woman, I at once spit on it and my face turns in disgust. When we are attracted by Madana Mohana and the beauty of Krishna and his consorts, then the shackles of conditioned life, namely the beauty of a material woman, cannot attract us. Hare Krishna.
Further, Srila Prabhupada says, instead of being attracted by the material beauty, which is, there are so many inebrities in the material beauty. Why? Because what we generally think is a material beauty, to a great extent, it is just a makeup kind of a beauty, right? And eventually, anyway, any beauty is going to fade away. It's manly beauty, handsomeness, or womanly beauty. It's just going to fade away. We used to wonder that, there are some actresses, how they remain always so youthful and everything like that. There was one actress, Devi, of course. I mean, all respects to her. But the point is, they had unlimited number of plastic surgeries on their body to remain youthful, right? So, and there are instances of at least once in a 3 months you will hear, if not once in 6 months, you will hear the instance of somebody that plastic surgery going haywire, and this actor or actress is really dying out of that plastic surgery. And now is the world of AI. Let 2-3 years go by, and we will not be able to understand only what is AI and what is reality, right? So Prabhupada says here, therefore, instead of getting attracted to the material beauty, one should be attracted by the beauty of the Supreme Lord, Radha Krishna. That is the couple, divine couple. And when one is attracted by the beauty of Radha Krishna, then what will happen is that then one will not be attracted by the fleeting material beauty. And this is testified in Bhagavad Gita. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinah rasovarjam rasopyasya param drishtva nivartate. When we have the higher taste, automatically the lower taste goes away. So all those questions, how to give up bad thoughts, Prabhuji, having higher level of positive thoughts in one's life, how to give up bad association, having higher level of positive association, how to give up bad food, having higher level of positive spiritual food. So instead of working very hard on giving up the negative, of course, that we have to do to a certain extent, But what we have to do is one has to focus one attention on receiving something positive, and automatically the negative thing will go away. Right? And this is called as the principle of param drishtva nivartate. Srila Prabhupada quotes the shloka from Yamunacharya. Yada yada avadhi mama cheta krishna padadavinde. Tada tada nava rasadhamne udyatam rantumasit. He says that as I'm engaged in worship of the Supreme Lord, Yamunacharya says that when the thought of sense gratification enters my mind, I simply spit on the thought and my face turns into disgust. So we have to be attracted by Madan Mohan, the beauty of the Supreme Lord, and then the fleeting material beauty. Okay, man for a woman, woman for a man will not attract us. Again, okay, here the reminder is as per the one's age appropriate. It has to be very, very age appropriate. Kapila Muni is speaking this to Devahuti, and Devahuti was extremely attracted to her husband, Kardama, and so much so that Kardama expanded himself in 9 different forms, and they enjoyed all the pleasure gardens across the universe. Right? So this has to be age appropriate. This is very, very important. Especially the relationship between husband and wife, and it has to be at a level of, the based on the it is like the needs of the one, that has to be very properly addressed within that relationship. So one should not misquote this, or one should not take some wrong inspiration from these kind of discussions or purports. One should always remember that it has to be age appropriate. Kapila Muni is describing this to Devahuti. And Devahuti, her service to her husband Kardama is glorious, and her enjoyment, the conjugal enjoyment between Devahuti and Kardama, is also, is on a different level altogether. Right? So it has to fall in the place of time, place, and circumstances. It has to be applied judiciously. And again, coming back to this, uh, the verse is directed towards the man. He should be careful from this, from the material woman. And similarly, is also, just take the vice versa, is also that for a woman, it is about the man. So it is, just the same thing. Text 39. Sangam न कुर्यात् प्रमदासु जातो योगस्य पारं परमारुरुक्षुः मत्सेवया प्रतिलब्धात्मलाभो वन्दन्ति या निरयद्वारमस्य. Translation.
One who aspires to reach the culmination of yoga and has realized his self by rendering service unto me should never associate with an attractive woman, for such a woman is declared in the scripture to be the gateway to hell for the advancing devotee. Purport: the culmination of yoga is full Krishna consciousness. This is affirmed in Bhagavad Gita. A person who is always thinking of Krishna and devotion is the topmost of all yogis. And in the second chapter of the first canto of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, it is also stated that when one becomes freed from material contamination by rendering devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he can at that time understand the science of God. Here the word pratilabdhatma labha occurs. Atma means self and labha means gain. Generally, conditioned souls have lost their atma or self, but those who are transcendentalists have realized the self. It is directed that such a self-realized soul who aspires to the topmost platform of yogic perfection should not associate with young women. In the modern age, however, there are so many rascals who recommend that while one has genitals, he should enjoy women as much as he likes, and at the same time, he can become a yogi. In no standard yoga system is the association of women accepted. It is clearly stated that here that the association of women is the gateway to hellish life. The association of women is very much restricted in the Vedic civilization. Out of the 4 social divisions, the Brahmachari, Vanaprastha, and the Sannyasi, 3 orders are strictly prohibited from the association of women. Only the Grihasthas or householders are given license to have an intimate relationship with a woman, and that relationship also restricted for begetting nice children. If, however, one wants to stick to continued existence in the material world, he may indulge in female association unrestrictedly.
Yeah. Now, here Kapila Muni says, one who aspires to reach the culmination of yoga, yoga rudha, paramaru rukshuhu, right, and has realized his self by rendering service unto me, should never associate with attractive women. So now again, this is with reference to the extramarital affairs, okay, or and for the woman it is man. For such a woman is declared to be in the scriptures as gateway to hell for the advancing devotee. And the specific name word comes here is called as pramada. And incidentally, pramada is also a brand. I don't think so. I don't know what brand it is. It is called as a pramada. So Kali Yuga, what brand will come like? Aditya Birla, their jewelry brand has come as Indriya, so just like Tanishq is a Tata brand. So they have come with the brand Indriya. Another brand is Pramada. There was another brand which is called as Viagra. Viagra is for increasing the sensual power, and which comes from the Sanskrit word Viagra. Viagra means your senses should be roaring like the lion. Viagra. It became Viagra. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada explains that the culmination of yoga is Krishna consciousness. Right, that is 6.47 Bhagavad Gita. That yoginam api sarvesham madgatenantaratmana shraddhavan bhajato yomam same yuktatamo matah. That one is always thinking of the Supreme Lord in devotion is the topmost of all yogis. He is the topmost of the yogi, and that is 6.47 Bhagavad Gita. And in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam also, there is being described that one who becomes freed from material contamination by devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, at that time he can actually understand the science of God. And Srila Prabhupada says, but there are so many bogus people who will conceive a philosophy just to justify their sense gratification. And one such philosophy is that because you have senses, you should enjoy them as much as you want. And at the same time, you can have samadhi also. Sambhog se samadhi tak. And you die with some steady kind of a diseases. And this is how this is being passed on as one of the great philosophies. That what is your philosophy? That enjoy your senses so much that you become ultimately frustrated. And so that is like, there is a fire. You put so much petrol on the fire that by just sheer volume of the petrol of the fire on the fire, that fire will be extinguished. You will ask, sir, sometimes, because especially in Kali Yuga, why this is not applicable? Because Kali Yuga body is not very strong even to enjoy, right? Even to enjoy, the Kali Yuga body is not very strong. And this is one of the major problems all across the world. People are becoming more lusty, but the birth rates are falling in a big way. I mean, if you see the countries like Japan, Korea, South Korea, and many countries like this, they are on the verge of extinction simply because of the falling birth rates. Nobody wants the responsibility of raising children. Nobody wants them. People simply want to be enjoying the senses around, but have no potency to take the responsibility of that sense gratification. So, Prabhupada says, this is not a yoga. This is not a yoga standard. Yoga begins with yama and niyama. And niyama specifically is, with reference to the dealings between the genders. And Prabhupada says, 3 amongst the 4 ashrams. And who has created this? This is created by the Supreme Lord only. Chaturvaranyam maya srishtam guna karma vibhagashaha. There is a restriction. And that restriction has to be followed very carefully. Even within the Grihastha Ashram, Prabhupada writes, there is a restriction. And the typical activity should be primarily used for begetting nice children. It is for procreation and not so much for recreation. And progressively, one should progress on that path. Again, this is based on one's own maturity and based on one's being age appropriate. But if somebody is decided to remain in the material world, then Prabhupada says, then you go on with the regular course of action, and then one can enjoy the world unrestrictedly. So this is how Kapila Muni is instructing his mother, and through instructing his mother, is instructing all of us, the potency, the movement of the living entities. So today is a very auspicious day. Today is the appearance day of Srila Prabhupada. And let us pray at the lotus feet of Srila Prabhupada that specific to this initiative, we have this sport reading, because we have taken up Bhagavatam. Previously, we used to have, the pat on our back when we used to complete. We used to feel ourselves, done something when we used to complete one small books. And as we know that we started this initiative way before 2019, even the COVID phenomena happened. 1st September 2019 is when we started this. And practically, literally every 3 weeks, every month, we used to complete one book. And finally, after reading almost all the books, eventually we arrived at Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. And Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is a phenomenal commitment, right? It is not easy to read Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. We are reading this because we are, with the mercy and the association of each other, we are completing 3rd canto, and almost 3rd canto is the biggest canto in Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. After 10th canto, 3rd canto is the biggest canto. And we are almost on the verge of completing 3rd canto. So Bhagavatam commitment is like 8 years of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So it will take 8 to 9 years for us to go through very systematically reading Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam every day, 25-30 minutes like this. And wherever we plug in, we are, going to continue this in the series. Like, so somebody begins, say, from now, where we are almost completing 3rd canto and entering 4th canto. Eventually, we will complete 12 cantos and again come to 1st canto, 2nd canto, 3rd canto, and that way the circle will be anyway complete. So this is to give us the daily, the vitamin dose of spiritual nourishment by beginning our day with Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So extremely grateful to all of you that, we are taking up this commitment. We have our, the core team who works very hard on, making this classes ready every day. 7:14, the class goes live. We have our Tapan Veeramani Prabhu, who is incidentally in Pune, and his good wife. We have Mudit Krishna Prabhu and his good wife. We have Varun Gaurang Prabhu and Mataji. And we have, many devotees. Ananchit Prabhu. We have Yogeshwar Gopal Prabhu, Priti Govind Prabhu, Jagannath Dham Prabhu, Jayesh Prabhu, who is there in the reading since practically day one. So there is a phenomenal effort by all these devotees and all the devotees who are attending, right? There is always a concern that, we want to read. So who is reading? Our simple understanding is that everybody is reading. Only thing is that few devotees are reading it loudly, nothing else. And just to maintain that the sense of, when we hear the same sound again and again, what happens is that it becomes a system. It becomes and that's why we have some devotees being selected as, reading loudly. Otherwise, everybody is reading. I am reading, we are reading, you are reading, everybody is reading. Some devotees are reading loudly. So grateful to each one of you for this very humble offering to Srila Prabhupada. So let us attend Srila Prabhupada's appearance day program in the temples nearby to wherever places we are from. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you,
Thank
Prabhuji.
you,
Thank you.
Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare
Thank you,
Krishna.
Prabhupada.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhupada. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hmm.